So this session is really going to pull together lots of what we've talked about so far in terms of not only packaging, but most importantly, I think, understanding the audience. So Andrew, first of all, tell us a little bit about Middlechild Productions. I'm sure people are very much aware of the business in the room, but if they're not, give us a really quick overview of the business.
Yeah, so we are, I guess, what you would call a traditional television producer. We're fully independent. We've been going for about 15 years, originally based in London, now Brighton, and we have a sister business called Middlechild in Newcastle. We make we're unscripted, so we make a lot of observational documentary series for Channel 5, UK TV. We do singles, specialist factual, feature-length stuff for all the other broadcasters. So what you'd, as I say, call a traditional TV production company. But recently, I guess in the last sort of 12 months or so, we're doing a lot more digital stuff, which could be digital first commissions from For Digital or their Untold strand, and now increasingly more of our own original content and brands, such as Gardening with Alan Titchmarsh.
That's right, yes. We're going to talk about that. And I think it's a really great case study to talk about because obviously we've talked about the Sidemen, we've talked about lots of other superstar creators, but I'm really keen for us to talk about this because I think it's much more relatable, accessible, and I think it features some of the real key strengths that producers in the UK have got, and perhaps ways that they can adapt and apply it to their own situation. So we're talking about Gardening with Alan Titchmarsh channel. I think I saw in the press when he announced it, I was the least possible, or obvious influencer or something like that. I think I saw him say.
Yeah, So we've approached it, to be honest, with him especially, and his agent Annie, who've been brilliant. Very much just like a traditional TV commission. It's just that YouTube and the other social media channels are essentially the broadcaster. So although he was really wanted to have some kind of presence on, I guess, YouTube in particular, we didn't want it to feel like a completely new alien project for him. To explain how it sort of came about, we were doing what I guess a lot of producers, a lot of production companies are doing, which is looking at content out of license and refashioning that for YouTube channels. So we had a company called Bab Studios, at Bab Studios, who we're still working with, who did that work for her. So took our old content. We did a lot of sort of pet-based observational documentary in the early days, the dog rescuers with Alan Davies, that sort of thing. So we had hours of that stuff. So he essentially cut that up and created a channel across all the socials called Heavy Petting, and that was doing really, really well.
Great time.
Yes, that was doing really well, and he kept saying to us, what would do better is original content. That's kind of where you need to move into if you want to do this sort of thing. And then a really great exec called Matt Young came to work for us to do some development, and he had done a lot of the traditional television programs in the past with another company with Alan. And he spoke to us about the fact that he'd been chatting to Alan about making a podcast potentially. And we sort of, over a number of weeks and months, sort of turn that into something that was more like a YouTube offering, and spoke to him and his agent about it, and approached it, as I said, very much like a traditional TV commission, to be honest. And that's kind of where it came from.
And what made you think that the gardening niche would work for YouTube?
So again, with some research, so I was about to say I don't want to overcomplicate it, but I don't even understand it myself, so it wouldn't be particularly overcomplicated. There are basically genres within YouTube, especially, that attract better viewers, yes, but more amounts of viewers, but also better advertising. So essentially, sort of think it's called CPM, but it's where there are certain genres of video that advertisers will pay more for 1,000 impressions on your video, whatever. Education basically was one of those, and that is essentially any kind of tips and tricks and that sort of thing. So we were always thinking not just to put someone on YouTube and expect that the audience will come, I think that's rare, but to actually offer a service, if you like, so some expertise, as I say, tips and tricks. So that ticked that box. When we looked at gardening in particular, we'd already looked at other areas that could be good for us, in that what has already got a massive serving on YouTube, for example. So let's say gaming is obviously pretty saturated. Gardening, there's obviously channels and there's some good people doing some really good stuff, but there wasn't loads. And Alan, we were lucky enough to sort of, is probably at the top of that pile in terms of high-profile people associated with the subject matter. We'll come on to this, but one of the things that we needed to bear in mind was not just generating an audience, but also generating brand partnerships. And so a big thing for us has always been, if you're a brand in a genre like gardening or fishing or whatever it might be, do you have loads of places online to spend your money? Are you already spending loads of money on YouTube or wherever else similar that is swallowed up a lot of your marketing budget? Or actually, would you like to be doing more there, but there just isn't that many places to do it that you would want your brand associated with? And I think gardening felt like somewhere like that for us, and thankfully proved to be.
Yeah, and so the brand relationships and the brand funding of this has been a sort of really crucial element, hasn't it?
Yeah, so there's loads that comes into it, but I think it's very hard, especially if you're running a traditional TV production company where your overheads and your structure are based around certain amounts of money coming through the door if you're getting commissions. The digital side of things is different to that. So it's the money comes at different points. There's no sort of big upfront payment. You aren't generating, certainly initially, the sort of money that you would be for a commissioned program. So we committed essentially, because that's the other thing. Alan and his agent didn't want to just get involved in this, do 3 videos, and they flopped, and that was the end of it. So we committed a certain amount of time and therefore a certain amount of money, a certain amount of videos and so on that we would make no matter what, that we were willing to invest our money into should we need to. And we had a budget for the first year or whatever. Our intention from the day one, though, was always that we wouldn't be able to sustain that for that long, because the revenue that will come back in just from YouTube alone just simply wouldn't be able to meet the costs of that production. So we spoke to numerous brands, which we did ourselves, which again we can talk about, but I think in time that may evolve into more specialist roles. But we spoke to a number of brands, and they all got very, very interested. And before we'd even put a video out, we were taking orders essentially for.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Was that was even before you'd actually gone into production and started publishing? It's like, so that's that's obviously key. The talent there is they really want to be associated with Alan Titchmarsh, who's super brand safe, and obviously it could very much play to their audience as well. I mean, how much. We've seen lots of statistics about older viewers on YouTube via connected TVs in particular recently. How much did that also play into the decision making going into this space?
I mean, again, exactly as you said, we were aware of that. And to be honest, just looking at my own use as a slightly older person now than most people, I guess, than a lot of people on YouTube and places like that, and my parents and so on, people are using certainly YouTube and possibly Facebook to a degree as more of an encyclopedia, as somewhere to, if I need to put a picture up or a mirror up or something, I will probably go to YouTube and type that in.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
That, combined with the fact that more people are watching it on big screens, not just on mobile devices, it was a bit of a gamble, but I think we sort of tried to tap into that with him because we knew we weren't going to create a gardening channel that was going to attract loads of under 20s into gardening, not necessarily. So that was, I guess, the bit of a punt, but it certainly seems to have sort of been the case.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at, took a quick look at some stats. 2 million views in March, and it's really growing, isn't it? Now it's really hit a point where it's really accelerating. 140,000 subscribers, 25k growth, just per month, basically. At the moment.
Yeah, and that's jumped up really quickly in the last few months, and no one has any idea particularly why that is. I mean, that's the sort of beauty and the sort of terrifying nature of it all, because I think you can do so much to influence the algorithm, and you know, the presentation you just had was a much more sort of expertise approach to that than we as a company, as traditional TV producers, were necessarily bringing to it. But there are twists in the tail every time we put a video out. We think this is going to be really good, and it doesn't do very well at all, and it's really, really hard to know why or why not. So this sudden growth from, if we keep doing sort of 25,000 subscribers a month, then it will be growing massively very, very quickly, but there's no particular rhyme or reason, apart from potentially just being in there long enough to be generating that audience, and then suddenly, when the algorithm sees that you are getting more and more views, it sort of bumps you up a bit further, a bit faster, like possibly, like honestly,
but presumably, that, I mean, I think it's really, really smart, the fact that, you know, you're really leaning into one of the key strengths of YouTube is that, you know, you talked about the encyclopedias, the how-to, you know, how to whatever prune some roses or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
It is exactly where you go now, and I think that's super smart, and I think that's a really, you know, it's great learning for everybody. You know, those maybe, if you're choosing your niche, think about how people can discover you and access you in that way. We're going to look at a clip in a second, but first of all, what did you said you made a plan for the first year or whatever, and you said it was very much like a normal TV production, if you like. I mean, what was the content plan initially that you had for the first, I don't know, eight videos or so? You know, what did you choose to go first with, and why?
In terms of volume, so we also know, as everybody I think probably does, that sort of consistency and regular posting is important. But again, when you're working with a talent that has other commitments, there's a limit of that, I guess, of what we can do in terms of original content. But we, roughly speaking, we do about 1 day's filming with Alan a month, and that gives us 4 to 6 new videos, and we sort of do that. And then we're putting 1 new video out every week, but then we can make compilations of those videos and so on, so you can increase the volume. We were led in this instance in terms of the first set of content just by the time of year. So it's very seasonal. So the idea is that we're putting things out when you want to know it. So we were sort of, I think, at the beginning of spring. I think we really started posting from April. So we were literally putting out content that was very relevant to what someone might be in that moment thinking about. And we've done that consistently sort of up until now, which is why winter was like painful, because it was slightly more difficult to be sort of coming up with content.
That's really, and that's perhaps, thinking back, that's perhaps what is fueling that growth, this growth in spring, is that, you know, I mean, I speaking for myself, I go to a garden centre about 3 times a year, twice a year, and I went, you know, in March. So it's, you know, I'm sure that's the consumer behaviour that's playing into it. Yeah,
and I think it's an important thing to think about. Again, it's so, in everything on all the social media platforms is so instant. I mean, we're used to in TV being topical, but actually there's a topicality to what you can do in terms of the content you're putting out on digital, then actually you're already winning, because you're putting something in front of people when they need it, rather than just loading it up like it's a database of stuff.
And presumably, obviously, seasons happening at different times around the world. I mean, is it predominantly a UK audience that you have on YouTube?
Although, again, you know, you look at the data and it already surprises you where people are watching and so on. But I think, again, the nature of his profile is very much UK based.
Okay. Well, I think we've got a clip that we're going to play. So let's take a look at the clip.
Now, you may end up looking like a stormtrooper from Star Wars, but it's all in a good cause. Check when you're buying one of these hedge trimmers that you can cope with the weight. The lighter it is, the longer you will be able to use it. You may think, oh, that's okay. Believe me, after 15, 20 minutes of using this, your arms will ache. This is Choisya ternata, the Mexican orange blossom, not a shrub to prune in winter, because it's borderline tender, but I want to show you the technique I use. I've got it either side of the drive here, and I've clipped it into this rolling C. So the important thing to do is to watch the technique and to be smooth and sweeping in your movements, but to do it in summer. Visor down, machine on, here we go.
Something quite nice about watching that, sort of cozy viewing.
It's warm bath stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, there's something quite nice about making that stuff, and then you take away all the things that lots of people in the room might be used to in terms of the pressures from the channel and deliveries and all of that kind of stuff. When you're actually doing that for yourself and it's nice content, it's quite liberating.
Yeah, I bet. So give us an idea of the sort of length of the episodes then, and do you try and stick to a particular length of every show?
Not massively. I mean, we're sort of experimenting, I guess, like everyone still is. We've done quite short videos. We've done, on average, I imagine, probably around the 10-minute mark. But we've also done full compilations and had 45-minute videos up. And that's interesting in itself, because I think at the time, there was discussion that may have affected the algorithm negatively on the channel, not just for that video. So it's a real sort of learning process, but I still don't think it's particularly precise, or it's constantly sort of moving in the background unbeknownst to us. So you can do the best you can. I think just doing that consistently and keeping that going, and I think that's when you start to see the benefits.
Yeah. And do you use any other platforms to drive audiences to YouTube?
Yeah, I think one of probably the more surprising elements, I guess, has been how well, when we've clipped this stuff up and put it onto the other social media platforms, it's done. So it's actually got, I think, nearly 200,000 Facebook followers to the brand. He's had a couple of videos that did like 500,000 on TikTok. He's got 50,000 TikTok viewers, which again, these are all sort of surprising. And I think that it's been good for us with the brands, because the brands are essentially really paying for the YouTube exposure. But the success that it's had on the other social media platforms has been an added bonus for them.
And so talk to us about a little bit more about that freedom that you have, without having a commissioner, sending you notes and all of, how does that inform the process, and how does it change the content that you're making and how you make it?
I mean, with this stuff, it's basically telly, as we know it. I think there'll be other things we do that will be less so, and that will become more apparent if we're doing more sort of, documentary-based things that might be a bit more current affairs-y. There will be big differences, I think. I think it's too easy to go, oh my God, it's so amazing, you don't have notes and you don't have compliance and all of that kind of thing. I think it balances itself out, because you also don't have money paid up front, and you don't have the security of the broadcaster, and you don't have the broadcaster's resources and so on. So it's not, I don't want to sort of sit here and go, oh my God, it's really, really easy, everyone should just do this, because it does require time and some money investment and trial and error, and there's a risk involved, which you don't have necessarily if you've got that commission. But you can be more nimble, so you can cut videos and get them out much quicker. There's a whole layer of things that people in the room will obviously be used to doing with something for linear broadcast that just isn't there. And I think content, as I said, in this particular case is very similar to what probably would be on TV. But I think going forward, the more we do this sort of thing, I think it will be quite liberating to be able to start being a bit more creative in making those decisions ourselves, which has been largely taken away in how linear works now.
And is this going to be a new model for you, do you think, for your business in terms of other TV talent, if you like, taking them into YouTube? Is that something you're going to do more of?
Yeah, I think we're in the process now. We're going to launch 2 more channels, exactly the same model with sort of high-profile people. One from research is going to be pets, and one sort of surprisingly is on survival, or maybe not in the current climate. But they're both areas where we think there'll be big brand take-up and that we can give good sort of expertise and education to, like we're doing with this.
So big brand take-up, maximising the CPMs, which is cost per thousand of more attractive to advertisers, obviously.
Yeah, and spaces that aren't heavily saturated in that world now. So if they're going to spend their money, then they want to spend it next to a recognisable person, potentially, and they're not already spending it in lots of other places on those platforms.
Yeah. Okay. So for anybody in the audience who've got those relationships with TV talent, which we know many people will have, it's again one of the USPs that TV producers have got, and maybe thinking about moving into YouTube, what would be your advice to them?
I think I sort of said it a minute ago. I think we got really lucky, to be honest. I mean, luck's maybe the wrong word. We sort of it paid off as we hoped it was going to. But I think there's lots of other variables. So you could pick someone now, and we've looked at a couple of people previously and got quite far down the road into conversations with them that just weren't right for us in terms of a brand growing, because you want space to grow, because you want to be able to do all the other social media platforms. You want to be able to potentially sell content back into TV. And some high-profile people already have a lot of commitments on these social media platforms, and they might have a weak YouTube channel, but they're really strong everything else, and they're limited by brand relationships they've already got, so there's not that scope. So I think you have to look at sort of them and what they're already doing or not. I think the other thing is to really make sure that it's clear to those high-profile people what this means and what the business model is, because I think both they're used to commercial arrangements with linear broadcasters, which are definitely different. They also, if they're not that equipped to understand how this stuff works, they just kind of see all the big numbers and the Mr. Beasts and the billions of pounds being made and kind of could assume that is the same thing. So I think you need to be really upfront about how it might work, and that it is a sort of punt on everybody's behalf, but actually in time it could pay off.
It's like going into business together, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of revenue share, going into as partners into a process, and therefore, a talent with a good agent who can see that and is realistic must be really important in this process as well.
Yeah, completely. And also, again, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do in the world as if you're a creator at home making your own content, because they will likely want a fee for the filming, and like they would do normally, and there will be the revenue shares there would normally be as well. So it's not, unless if you've got a really high profile piece of talent that's willing to wait, the 2 years for it to sort of pay off potentially and then sort of hopefully reap the benefits, then amazing. But I think you have to go into it and find a way that works for all parties.
Okay, so last question. What's the single biggest lesson that you've learned from gardening with Alan Titchmarsh that every TV exec should take away?
Well, how to trim a bush. I don't know. I think I don't know if it's a lesson. I think it's been really invigorating. I think we've just the whole concept of it. It's been quite nice to be able to be creative again, and I don't just mean in the content. I mean creative in the business model. There is no set way of doing this yet, and that's amazing. And hopefully there never will be, because I think we're finding new ways of doing different things. We're looking at other channels that aren't in this model, but other models that have potential revenue streams and ways they might work. So it's just been, I think it's been really enlightening, and it's quite, I know the whole production community is nervous about where things are going, and I do think the digital side of things like this is different. It's a different business model. It's not the same sorts of money, but what it isn't is a 6-part series that doesn't come back. You know, you can work on that and get really good rates, or you could work on the digital project. Perhaps the rates are slightly smaller, but that brand that's being created or that project could be going for forever. So there's a lot more security in that potentially in the long term. So I think it's just quite exciting. It's the first time working in this industry for a few years that we've been able to say that we're actually quite excited about where things could go.
Yeah.
But it's a different mindset.
And finally, do you think, could we see Gardening with Alan Titchmarsh come onto a linear channel in terms of the way that, you know, how you've shot it? Presumably, it's an opportunity to license back to broadcasters.
Yeah, so we're in advanced talks now doing that with someone. Yeah, exactly that. So we've got hours of rushes. It can be repurposed really easily into hour-long episodes, and it looks like someone is going to take that. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's really, really smart. Andrew, please give a round of applause for Andrew from Middlechild. Thank you.